Dun it, 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 dun it.
Spiking bits.
Welcome back, hobby maniacs. We've got a Forge World treat for you. Today we have fresh out of Warhammer Fest, shipped all the way across the ocean to us, the Terrax pattern Termite assault drill. I don't know what book it was in, but there was definitely a really cool story of some salamanders in one of these things, drilling through the core of the earth, fighting all sorts of craziness, running into magma flows, which did not end well for some of them, and lots of other things. But either way, great, neat little kit and really cool idea that I suppose maybe the time is now to develop this thing using the computers that Forge World has available to them now. Now this bad boy at the show was 60 pounds, which I think is roughly 1.4. That's let's see, time for 84-ish dollars plus 20% VAT tax on the day. So a lot. It was a lot as far as that goes. So somewhere around a Hondi in American. So in the box, of course, it comes in that great box, and there was all sorts of packing material. We all removed that. We've already washed it all up and everything, got a good look at it. So we've got the instruction manual right here, and then two big bags full of parts, and of course, you know, the checker list and things. Remember, always hold on to this. If you have a problem, Forge World will ask you for it, so you can get your replacement parts, and they can kind of figure out if there's a problem on the line. Now, as far as assembly goes, yeah, it's not too many steps. If you're comparing it to Lego kits, only about 12 steps. A lot of parts that are kind of repeated, but kind of like, you know, the inverse and kind of, you know, on a different plane and different things. So it's the exact opposite. So again, with the access to the sculpting software and things that they have, this was a great pickup or a great design choice for Forge World, because trying to match something identically to another side is kind of a pain in the ruckus, if you know what I mean. So here's all the parts here. Of course, you've got the Volkite blasters, the kind of flip out Volkite blaster things, the different halves of the fuselage. You got the inside that you can see some grating on, depending if you leave the hatches off, and the front drills assembly, the back kind of thruster assembly, and then of course, you know, the dirt travels down these little tracks, very similar to the Deathcore Krieg borer assault breaching drill. So a little bit similar design there, which would make sense because it's all Imperium, right? So as far as putting this all together, there's a couple of parts to be aware of. You know, if I don't think ours actually came with that shim or that inside being still sealed, it was all empty. The pieces, the ring pieces go together, and then the drill forms the ring, and then you just put this cap, this driver's hatch, I guess it is, on the front here. You start to build up your drill rings, which looks relatively easy and painless, as long as these things aren't warped. It should be. Main bearing, this is the back section here where all the dirt travels down, the little ramp. Engine, burner nozzles, and then that all kind of locks into their rear doors. And either your flamers or your Volkites are your options right here, and they mount right on the top. But theoretically, there's little doors where more will come out, but it's not represented on the model. Okay, part time. So let's get a look at these rings right here. Now, this is an unboxing build, so we are going to be putting it together, but I can tell you right now, ooh, lost a piece of their mold right there. That's not good. That these, I've kind of tested them, and they lock together pretty well for the most part. These just kind of lock right in. Not a whole lot of fuss. Does look to be about little spots that you might need to trim off right there. We'll get to that here in a second. And that all kind of assembles together very easily as far as that goes. That's the first set of parts. I mean, you know, detail-wise, we're going to look at it, but I mean, gosh, it's just amazing what you can do with the computers these days. Look at all this hatchworks, all the tread. It's just amazing. All the little kind of bulkhead rivets, I don't know what else to call them, and then all of these pieces here, a lot of the engine thrusters and things, very cool looking. Some of the wiring, all very well detailed, little studs and everything. Some of the ramps that come off the back right there, looking pretty good. And the drill itself reminds me a little bit of the portcullis on the Charybdis. And then there's that driver's hatch, I think it was, that goes on the front. And some of the smaller Volkite parts, I'm not going to open those up till we get them assembled. And I can show you, how well they go together. So we're only a few minutes in here into the assembly. Let me bring you in on some stuff real quick. So this driver hatch here, this is definitely the front. It fits in, but there's a little bit gaps. I feel like I couldn't have done a better job getting it lined up. So I'm not super worried that that's an issue. That might be a design thing. But something to be aware of here is it's a little bit confusing how Forge World notates this. They're like hull side 1, 4 hull bottom, 3 hull side 2. But they have these designations on the parts. This is actually piece 2, not hull 2. And this is hull 1. So I don't know, maybe they got mixed up here. I don't see where these shims are that were supposed to be removed. So it's a little baffling, but I feel like the pictures match. So I'm happy with how this is so far. And that's one of the biggest reasons when you're assembling something, always assemble it and orientate it towards you so you get that good assembly. So another piece of advice or potential gotcha I can tell you about is this drill ring looks to be labeled correctly. I assembled it and then quickly mounted it to this to make sure it was still flush, but on the back it is all labeled like lower, R, and left right there. So if you assemble it in this manner, it lines up. Now on the upper one there's this notch, and the notch corresponds to that notch in the top, and in theory when you attach it, everything is good. But that top area right there is all one piece, and it doesn't line up quite very well with this piece right here. Now I'm not sure, I don't think it has anything to do with those little studs sticking out right there. I see them on the instruction manual, so I don't think it's that. I just think perhaps the model needs a little bit of heat, or when you press it down it's gonna kind of push back. But I think it just might be, at the end of the day, just a little gappy. Like, that's just how it's gonna be. So we're just gonna keep building because we got it mostly lined up, and I think that will just be a product of either applying a little bit of heat or the model itself just kind of settling in. Okay, another quick gotcha is there's a locking ring that they don't really tell you in the instruction manual here. But it does line up and correspond with that little notch in the drill ring itself. So once you slide that down in there and glue it all down, you're gonna have your assembled drill rig. Okay, on the back thruster side, again, it's gonna be a little gappy. Not much we can do about it. Maybe with a little heat can kind of squeeze it together, but it's nothing noticeable because when you lock this together, you got your ring right here with your fastener, which lines up with the top here. This is just going to slide in. You're not really going to see the gaps, to be honest. So I'm not too super worried about it. A couple little gaps down here in the thruster. This is the bottom half that glues on, and then there's a single thruster. I think it was this one, or not thruster. I guess it's the fuel pod or something, burner nozzle. I don't know what it's called, engine top, something that goes on to here. I guess it is a thruster because it can, okay, whatever. But other than that, it's gonna lock right in mostly fine. I think I'm gonna glue this one down and not quite worry about it there. Okay, so we got it together. That's actually a really neat kit, and it goes together very well except for a few of those gaps that we talked about. Now I got the hatches locked in here, and these actually you can attach them later with a little blue tack. They're actually very easy to slide in. I'll show you here in a second. They are removable. They don't seem to want to move, so I'm okay with that, but they're not glued in, which is pretty neat. And you can do a little crossfading or something like that depending on what you want to do, higher Legion decals and such. Up here I put the point defense weapons, the Volkite blasters, to kind of tack glued them in place so I could break them off later, because there is a couple of different versions of the weapons that you can do. A heavy flamer, a storm bolter, and the Volkite charger right there. But I thought the Volkites were the coolest looking. Now I kept the front off to paint separate because it's probably going to be majority metal, so I figured you could do that separate. But there is, again, going to be a little bit of a gap, so I'll probably apply a little bit of heat and kind of try to push this back, because I feel like that's just a casting kind of thing, because everything else is nice and flush and flat, unless it's this plate right here, in which case I'm going to pop it out. But don't have a whole lot of time to diagnose it, but I've dealt with enough forge roll kits to know that this isn't that huge of a problem, so I'm not too worried about it. There's always going to be a little bit of potential for gaps with any resin kit, just because of the way the material goes together and the fact that they're sourcing parts from a bunch of different kits. Now, interior wise, you can actually see some detail. Let me see if I can shine the light down in here for you. Yeah, get it angled with the camera. There you can see that back kind of engine section. Can't really see the other hatch from this angle, and then the pilot's hatch right there. Nope, not gonna be able to kind of see it. I was really hoping we could get that angle, but it doesn't look like it. But the inside is for the most part paintable and easy to see, so to speak. I wonder if I put the light like right here. Yeah, there. Now we're getting a little bit in there. Okay, so you can see the front hatch, the gantry kind of right there on the floor, and then the back area right there. So other than that, just to show you that these slot in pretty easily, which may result in them sticking in here until I can really get in here off camera and get them apart. But yeah, they just slot right in, nice and easy. These don't fall out either. That's pretty cool. Now, size wise, how does it compare to other stuff that we already know? Because I'll be honest, when I got this out of the package, I was a little, I was like, dang, that thing's kind of small. Like, what's the deal there? So here's how it compares to a Primaris Marine. So gonna be probably bigger than a Rhino, and a normal Marine right here. There's a normal Marine guy. And a Rhino itself, well, that's how it compares. It is actually bigger, but that front section I was worried, or that mid section, I thought it wasn't going to be much bigger when I got it. I was like, oh no, it's going to be a little smaller than a Rhino. But once you get everything put on, it's definitely bigger than a Rhino. Probably bigger than, you know, most of the Rhino chassis, Lima Russes. It's going to be probably on par with a Land Raider as far as length, but not depth. And then here's a repulsor. So it's going to be just about the same size as a repulsor that you can see right there, but obviously, you know, not quite as big. The depth is a little bit crazy there. It's not quite as wide. So overall, I think it's definitely a neat kit. I don't see why somebody would get upset with you if you ran this as a Rhino. You know, kind of counts as, because it could just, you know, lay on the ground and just kind of putter along, but it is going to be a little bit bigger, so maybe it would be better to represent this as like a Land Raider or something, and kind of maybe come up with a little cutout like of the actual profile it is for, you know, shooting and stuff. But getting cover saves and things like that in 8th edition, you have to be wholly within most ruins and 50% obscured, so I could see where the 50% obscured part would be a little bit of an issue. So just, you know, obviously when you step up to the table, it's a social contract. Explain what you're trying to do and perhaps have the correct models just in case your opponent is butthurt about it. But realistically, you shouldn't be butthurt about it if somebody's meeting you halfway. That's what this hobby is all about, is coming up with these great ideas and these great paint schemes and not trying to exploit sizes and stuff like that to your advantage. So detail-wise, can't say enough good things. This kit wouldn't be possible without computer engineering, so it's really cool to see Forge World taking those artsy risks and doing that cool stuff to kind of develop this stuff. You can see the detail is stunning. No lack of it on any space on this, and the fact that they use kind of a 3-step process with the drill itself, the middle ring, and then the outer ring to get that depth of detail. And even back here, this is, well, 2 pieces, and then one is a separate piece. So very similar to that. So it's got all the bells and whistles. It's got all the accessories. It's got the ability to go together pretty easily as far as, you know, what we talked about up here. So I'm going to research that a little bit and see if there's anything that can be done. Maybe this, well, it looks like that isn't quite flush yet either. So it might be a little issue right there. But like I said, I worked with resin enough. I'm not too worried about it. This is a non-factor as far as I'm concerned. So that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed our unbox and build of the new Forge World Legio Astartes Termite, hopefully coming to 40k tables and rule set near you in maybe the not so distant future, but definitely a viable playable choice in the Horus Heresy.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.